we're going to start between the game between the defending European champions, Paris Saint-Germain, and a team that had won 15 games in a row going into this and made it 16. Bayern Munich coming out 2-1 winners. Now, all right, they hit twice in the first half. Once, terrible mistake from Marquinhos. But beyond that, do you think Bayern looked that good? I mean, that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, we can only judge really and analyze the first half when they were 11 against 11. The second half with 10 men is obviously a very different story, like it would be in any game. But the first half, I thought they pressed really well, and for me they are the fittest team in Europe. They're the best pressing team in Europe right now. Their intensity, the running that they have, the movement was great. It was helped massively by the gift that PSG gave them. And Luis Enrique, I thought, summed it up really well after the game, saying when you gift a team like Bayern those chances, those goals, some of the balls for them to attack, it's very more difficult. So Marquinhos obviously on the second goal, Nuno Mendes on the first goal, who should never lose the ball where he does. But yeah, there was another 3 big chances that Bayern also had. Gnabry hit the 2 posts with the same shot, for example, and things like that. And they forced PSG to make those mistakes. Yeah, I thought they were very good, and I expected them to be very good. I didn't think PSG would win this game, and I was right, because I just don't think right now anyone but Arsenal maybe, and in a very different style, different way, can match Bayern's intensity.
It helps to have that intensity. Obviously, if you've got, the week before, you can kind of play your B team, still come out 3-0 winners. It's still super impressive, I think, what Bayern are doing. From Paris Saint-Germain's perspective, very simple. Going forward now, you've got, if you look back to the team that won last season, right? Injuries are obviously part of it. Desiree Doué, Dembele starts to come off, Hakimi, and Donnarumma no longer there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more than a third of the team.
And Nuno Mendes as well.
And Nuno Mendes. Now, that's only half the team that won when we think of the European, they won the Champions League. That's the team that did it.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And I think you can have injuries. Everybody will have injuries through the season. I think it's the fact that the ones who are not injured are just not fit, certainly not fit enough to play the style of football Luis Enrique wants them to play, that make them so successful last season. That there's not that intensity. They can't repeat the effort. They're not sprinting as much as they did last season, for example. Marquinhos said it, and I don't think it was an excuse from him after the game, but he said, we're just not as fit as we should be. We're not everybody's 100%. Right. And, it's often the case, but they have a lot of that.
Thank you for not mentioning the Club World Cup yet as an excuse. We're going to get to that. Yeah. We're going to get to that later. But I want to go back to Bayern, because they're doing all this without 2 starters who I think have hardly played. I mean, I don't know if Alphonso Davies has played at all, but I don't think he has, right? So Davies and Musiala ready to come back into the side. They're doing it with an emergency right back in Limer. I don't know if we can still call him emergency right back because he's doing so well. Yeah. They're doing it with a goalkeeper who is 39 years old and seems to get injured every spring. But we'll see about that. So they're doing it with a guy, Gnabry, who, a lot of people thought, he's gone off the boil. Also playing a different position than what he's used to. This is pretty remarkable. Can we give some love to Vincent Kompany? Because, it's the players on the pitch or whatever. But I think it's hugely impressive where they are.
Yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit for building this team this season as the best in Europe, really. And it's interesting because the next game after the international break is away at Arsenal. So currently the 2 best teams in Europe without a doubt. So that would be very interesting. But for now, even the weaknesses from last season in transition defensively, all of that, they seem to have corrected them. So it's great. It was really good to watch on Tuesday, that first half.
I made the point, those 2 big away games against Paris Saint-Germain and against Arsenal, we're halfway there. Those would tell us, I think, what Bayern really are this season. All right, Jules. I said before the break, we'll find out against Arsenal how good they really are. part of me says that they haven't always played well, right? In their first German Cup game against VN Wiesbaden, obviously they needed the late goal. They've had one or two wobbles. They've always won.
Yeah.
Bayern. But I feel like, and then I ask myself, have they been, to what degree have they been tested? So we saw the Dortmund game where they're phenomenal for 60 minutes and then nearly throw it away. How good are they really?
I think they're very good. I think they're amazing. Kimmich said after the game on Tuesday that Kimmich is 30. He's played in Champions League finals, World Cup finals, seasons after season. He said the first half was the most intense half of football he's ever played, ever. So I don't know if he remembers really every single game he played, but just for an idea of, I think, what it must have been on that pitch. And I felt that first half looked, certainly on television, incredible. So I don't even want to start thinking about what it was on the pitch. I just don't know if you can do it for 90 minutes. That's it. And if you face a team that can still play after 60 minutes, after 70, that still has some movement, some rotation, I think that might be. But we don't know until they face that team, and they might never face them.
But
because
I would tend to agree with you. This is why I'm not fully sold now. Is yes, on paper it's an ideal situation to be in, that you can not mail it in, but you can kind of manage games, 45 minutes here and there. You score a couple goals domestically, right? That's a big plus. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain have had that luxury as well, of course, when they wrap up the title way early, like they did last year, whatever. However, if you have to then really raise the level and play at a different speed, something you need to kind of be used to, right? You have to be kind of accustomed to. If I had to think of reasons why it wasn't going to work out, I would cite that. I would cite the fact that I'm not sure that should something happen to Harry Kane, that Nico can can effectively fill that gap. It's just a very different type of player. Kane is pretty unique. Whereas I feel like Arsenal actually probably have fewer players who are irreplaceable. I mean, not saying Rice or Saka aren't important, or even Paris Saint-Germain. I'm saying Dembele. I mean, maybe Hakimi's even more valuable than Dembele in some ways. I'd point to Upamecano, and we're talking off air how exceptional he is.
Incredible that first time.
He's out of contract at the end of the year. If you're cynical, you say, "Oh, look, they always work harder and play better when they're free agents." But I was trying to think. I think I know why they haven't signed him up yet, but I'm also kind of think, who's circling around him? Because until recently, we would say, "Oh, Real Madrid, easy." But Real Madrid now have many center backs, and they have their center back partnership, I think, of the future in place.
Yeah.
Do we think there's?
I still think Real Madrid are in for another centre back. To be fair,
to replace Alaba and Rudiger.
Yeah, I think they're inevitably with Militao and Hojsund, and I guess.
Upamecano makes sense if you go back three, but otherwise, if I'm Upamecano, would I go there to be like, I'm not going to go there if I have to compete for a starting job with these two guys?
But in that case, you don't go anywhere. You stay at Bayern.
Well, no, because he would walk into
which team? Which top team?
In my view, I think he could. I mean, he's not going there because probably doesn't fit. But I think he could walk into the Man City because Stones is virtual, and I'm not a Ruben Dias guy. He would walk into Manchester United. He could certainly walk into Barcelona, whether they have any money to give to him. I don't know, or whether even he'd be a tactical fit. He could walk into Chelsea if they really wanted him, and if he wanted to move to London. I mean, probably better than the Spurs center backs, even though they're good.
Yeah, but sign for Spurs.
Okay, yeah, you get to diss Spurs.
No, it's true. Like, I think at clubs of the level of Bayern right now.
Right. So clubs of the level of Bayern, you're talking Barcelona, Real Madrid, you're talking Manchester City, you're talking Liverpool.
Yeah, but there's some clubs where if they want you, you take the risk and you go and trust yourself to win your place in that team, to earn your place in that team.
Right, but you want to have a pathway, right?
But like, for example, PSG just spent 60 million on Zabani. Right. I would go tomorrow with my eyes closed, drive myself to Munich to bring back Upamecano to France. If I'm PSG, every single day. For me, there's no debate. I know you spend a lot of money on Pacho and Zabani the next 2 years, you still have Marquinhos there and Beraldo and all of that, Lucas Hernandez if you want. I would go and sign Upamecano straight away.
Yeah, no, I'm just not sure he wants to necessarily go or even, but
the way he sees it himself, he believes he could start for any top clubs in Europe.
Okay, there's a top European club who won the Premier League last season, who only have 2 top shelf center backs, one of whom Upamecano knows very, very well because they used to be teammates, and who is out of contract at the end of the season. And the other one is 33, 34.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
If you're Liverpool, I mean, there's also Gay as a free agent in the summer, as we know.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's
sign them both. You're gonna have to if Konate doesn't extend.
Yeah. I mean, if you lose Konate anyway, it's even more. They need one now anyway. What was I think super cool really in this game too, and it has happened before. I'm not saying that it never happens, and they will play each other. They will play against each other again, I'm sure, in the future, unless Upamecano comes to PSG. But Ousmane Dembélé and Dayot Upamecano grew up on the same council estate in Évreux, literally across the street from each other. Dembélé's block of flat. From his window, you could see Upamecano's block of flat. And Upamecano is obviously a bit younger, so they never played with each other in the Évreux youth teams. But they grew up together, even with the age difference, played together on the concrete little pitch that they had between the 2 blocks of flat. And to see them facing each other in a Champions League game 20 years later, really, it's quite incredible. So I know they play for France together, but it's always funny when those kind of people who have a friendship since they were 5 years old face each other in real life as a pro in that kind of like.
This is your attempt to recruit Dio to.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying he knows what I think of him anyway, and how much I would love him in Paris. But
I want to move on to the big talking point on the pitch was the Diaz Hakimi tackle. I thought it was a straight red. I don't know that there's any debate. I don't think he's trying to injure him.
No.
But it is. He comes in hard, and he comes in, and in the end, it ends up in a scissors motion. And I thought it could have actually been far worse. When I first saw his ankle buckle that, I thought season over. But it's not season over.
No, it's 6 weeks, maybe a little bit more, depending on how the ankle kind of recovers. There's no surgery, which is a good thing. It's a very severe strain. I think everybody got really scared. The thing I would say as well is, I mean, wingers and forwards should never tackle because they just don't know how to start with. Secondly, it looked like the Bayern players were complaining about the red card, and we've said it before. And I know on the pitch, there's the heat of the moment, all the adrenaline, you're in your game. It was an incredible first half. You're 2-0 up. Don't assume this is not a foul. Don't go to the referee and say, why? How come it's a red card? It's never a red card, because you don't know. If you're Kimmich, Pavlovic was like literally shouting at the referee, this should not be, this is not a red card. It's not. When you don't know, you haven't seen it again like we have, like the referee has. So I just felt like Hakimi was on the floor crying. His ankle, you could see it turned badly. And Bayern Munich players were still arguing with the ref that it should not have been a red. And I was like, come on.
Company drew a comparison to the tackle that the Musiala Club World Cup.
With Donnarumma,
And it's the same. And to me, there's the similarity is you've got a player who's down, like in pain. And at the time, like I said, the way his ankle turns, I mean, actually, it's not often you see a player actually crying on the pitch. Again, I know there's the adrenaline, but to have this preoccupation all of a sudden of trying to get in there and stuff when it goes to VAR, because obviously it was a yellow at first and then it got upgraded.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, he's gone to see the stream. You haven't. Pavlovic. Shh.
I know. I just don't understand. I know
remember how you felt when Musiala went down.
Exactly. I know some players sometimes go on the ground and like pretend they're super hurt, and they're not. I get that. So I know that, but I thought this was a bit misjudged really for some of the Bayern fans.
I want to go back to this, and obviously the Club World Cup has been cited time and again by Luis Enrique. as maybe one of the reasons behind Paris Saint-Germain's lack of fitness. Now, obviously, the counter argument to that is, hey, look, Bayern were at the Club World Cup as well, and they won every game this season.
No,
they played 2 more games.
Yeah, but that's
1 week. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit more than a week.
Real Madrid were there too, and of course they lead the league in La Liga. But what I find interesting is, could it be that, I'm just throwing this out there, right? So preoccupied by the Club World Cup and the lack of training days, whatever it was, 11, 7, however many, right?
Yeah.
He took this, as we've told you on the show, right? At the start of the season, he says, okay, I'm going to treat the first 3 weeks like preseason. So I'm going to rotate players. We're going to treat these as preseason, and we're going to adjust our workloads accordingly.
Yeah.
Is it possible that that is part of the reason why, not why they picked up more injuries, but why they're not where they are as fit in the same way, that at the end of a preseason training camp, you don't see the same level of sharpness that you see? I mean, teams are designed athletically to peak at certain times.
Yeah, February or March. Yeah, maybe there's a bit of that. I mean, they feel like, and don't forget, Bayern were knocked out obviously in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Didn't have to play the European Super Cup like PSG did so early in August. If you just compare,
well, you know what, you don't want to play the Super Cup. You let Inter beat you in the final, and then you could have all the time off you want.
It would have made it easier for sure.
That would have been much better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a case of not feeling you can train like you would have trained if everybody had a month off of holidays. I don't know. I just know that they played 65 games last season. Every single game that the season had to offer or was offering, they played it, because they obviously went to every final, to every competition they played in, and all their league games, obviously. So
I think maybe I'm just chucking this out there, and our friend Darren Burgess, whose his performance was we've interviewed before, he can let us know if he has time. If Damien Kamali gives him some time at Juve to talk to us. I wonder if it's actually the fact that it's not so much, it's the fact that whoever Lucho's fitness guy is, and given Lucho's proclivity for triathlons, it might be him.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we're in total uncharted waters, right? Nobody's ever been in this situation in this way. What is the right plan for it? We don't know, because we don't have a history of saying, okay, this is the best practice, right? We're going to make our best guess, and we're going to learn from it. And then maybe going forward, we can manage it differently. I'm just chucking it out there. And the thing is, it's just a lot more complex and nuanced.
Yeah,
instead of saying like, oh, Club World Cup, so that's why he's hurt.
Yeah, it's just a bit of everything, really. But it was a very long season, and the new one started shortly after the long one finished. And I think that takes its toll. There might be other things. Dembele is a strange one. I think there's also some sort of decompression, surely, physically, mentally, after a long season where you win everything, especially the one that everybody's been waiting for so long. I think, I'm not saying that they lose a bit of hunger, or maybe they do, but certainly your body probably shuts down a little bit like it shouldn't. And that's why players or sports people always say the hardest one really to stay at the top, because I think there's a lot of that going on in your heads physically too. And I think that's also what they're going through right now.
All right, enough Bayern. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, guys.
Alexis McAllister scores the only goal as Liverpool down Real Madrid 1-0. Jules, this looks more like last year's version.
Yeah, so one-sided, this one. I mean, really, without Courtois, amazing saves. This could have been 2 or 3 easily, and really, Real Madrid didn't offer much apart from that Bellingham chance just before the break that he made for himself, by the way, on his own. Nothing from Vini against Bradley, nothing from Mbappe against Konate and Van Dijk. Super disappointing from a Real Madrid point of view overall, but well done to Liverpool.
Do you like it when Xabi Alonso says we're not ready to win to compete?
Come on, please.
Yeah, Liverpool, we saw he went back to last year's lineup at the weekend.
Yeah.
This game, we had Wirtz starting from different positions, wider. Are you still feeling confident about your bet? About Wirtz, the number 10, about our bet?
Yeah, but I think these bring more balance for sure. I think when Isak will be back,
Wirtz will go back to number 10.
No, I wonder if he could try if he could try something else. No,
I was right.
Okay. Sticking with that game, Gab, Trent Alexander-Arnold got a lot of abuse at Anfield.
Yeah, and I can understand it. And look, I will always stick up for the fans, their right to do it. But there's a way to leave your boyhood club. And I don't know what Trent actually did wrong here. This is not a Sol Campbell situation. I don't believe he swore everlasting loyalty to the club. He was there. He went and he won a Champions League, won a Premier League. He was a huge contributor to it. He could have gone to another Premier League team. He did not. He chose to leave. At the end, he's a young man now. What is he, like 27, 26, right? I want to have another experience at a club comparable in stature. And let's also face it, the other elephant in the room, two other elephants in the room is one, they still got 10 million pounds back for him because he went to the Club World Cup. And B, they had 3 free agents in one go, which is not a good situation for a club to be in. Yeah. It was inherited, of course, by Richard Hughes and the people in charge. That was not down to them. There's only so much money to go around. He didn't make it about money leaving. So I wish people could understand that a little bit more. I mean, do you think he handled it badly?
No, I think it's the leaving on a free. I know he was not a free because there was that those £10 million. What I would say on this, why is Xabi Alonso bringing him on?
So he can get booed.
Yeah. Why did you expose him like that? Why did you humiliate him?
All I can think of is maybe a set piece. No.
They were well beaten. They should have been 4-0 down by then. He didn't change anything apart from being booed by his own people. I didn't understand why Xabi Alonso felt the need of bringing him on, really.
Yet another clean sheet for Arsenal, who haven't conceded since September, Jules. They beat Slavia Prague 3-0, and none of the goals are set piece, although the first was a penalty.
Yeah, penalty, and they got the penalty via a set piece.
Oh, so we're going to give Nicholas credit for that one, too.
I'm just saying. Mikel Merino, again, as a number 9. I mean, his record as a number 9 when he starts.
It makes no sense to me,
it's
but
like
yes.
8 goals in 13 starts as a 9. It's ridiculous.
And you know what? That was so Merino, because on the first one, okay, he was left unmarked, but he was good, right?
It's
but he found the space and it was great. The second one, I mean,
the keeper makes a mess.
Oh my goodness!
But imagine when you have 3 number 9, your 3 number 9s all out: Gyökeres, Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and then you bring your box-to-box midfielder because that's what he is as a 9, and the guy scores 2 goals in Champions League. It's ridiculous.
I'm not even sure if I define him as box-to-box. He's not that quick.
Yeah, exactly, not that quick. Another game, another 90 minutes without scoring for Antonio Conte's Napoli. Gab, what's going on? Do they miss Lukaku and De Bruyne that badly?
What's going on, Jules, is that they played Eintracht Frankfurt. And context matters. You think of Eintracht like, Dino Topmuller, attacking football, how exciting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they played an Eintracht team that had conceded, I think, 99 goals in the previous 4 games or something like that, right?
Like that, yeah.
So what did he do? Dino Topmuller, who was named for Dino Zoff, and so therefore went on full-on lockdown mode.
Catenaccio.
Massive Catenaccio. They defended in numbers, and it's tough to break them down. They played a lot better in this game. As you know, I have no problem saying when they play badly and they win 1-0 and Conte talks about their toughness, we knew how to suffer. I say, that's all nonsense. I want to see you creating chances and not conceding chances. They did create chances. Zambonguisa, McTominay didn't take them. Would it have been better with Lukaku and De Bruyne? Sure, because they're very good footballers, but they're not there. The important thing was, I think, to see progress compared to their last outing, and we had that. Jules, we're not done. We have more quick hits. Mr. Champions League, Hans van Aken, single-handedly. No, just kidding. Not single-handedly. He got a lot of help from the Barcelona defense.
Yes.
But he helps Bruges to a 3-3 draw with Barcelona. Little help also from, of course, as I mentioned, from Hansi Flick's demented high line. And they could have won that Szczesny thing at the end.
That controversy on the 4th goal scored by Bruges, vehement. I mean, the fact that the referee Anthony Taylor changed his mind after looking at the screen, after VAR intervention, and the fact that the Bruges player didn't really complain that the goal was not allowed, made me think that they also thought it was the right call, but there was not much into it. That doesn't take away the fact that Barcelona defensively were atrocious again. That you can have the highlight if you want. It's very risky. We've said that many times. But if on top of the highline there's no pressing in midfield and you let the Bruges players just move the ball as they want with a lot of space, they're going to punish you because they're good and they're quick.
Yeah.
Forbes, Van Aken, as you said, Tresoldi, all of that, they're good players.
Especially when you have bad central defenders. There was no Pau Cubarsí in this game. No. We had to endure Eric Garcia with Araujo.
Yeah.
we got to give a shout out to Lamine Yamal. That
Incredible goal. And I'm going to say, I almost love the Fermin back-heel assist as much as Lamine's dribbling and finishing, but what a special goal.
I am positively almost offended by what Flick said post-game when he said, like, oh, I'm not going to change. It's in our DNA. That's fine. But then he says, we're not going to become, because what's the alternative? Sitting deep and winning games 1-0? Like, no, that's not the alternative. People have won games by alternating, playing a high line sometimes and going back, by playing medium blocks, and they still score a lot of goals, and they're still very entertaining. Yeah. He's not helping himself when he says stuff like this.
Yeah, this would be his downfall. Karabakh, do it again, Gab. He finished 2-2 against Chelsea, and it could have been more.
Yeah, it could have been more. Enzo Maresca rotating because he believes it's necessary. Although, to be fair, I don't even think rotation was that big an issue in this one, in the sense Moises Caicedo, who, frankly, with Cole Palmer out, Moises Caicedo is the other half of the team. He comes on early because guess who gets injured again? Romeo Lavia. Atrocious defending. Tosin, Jarell Hato. They really, really struggled. I don't think they were great at the attacking end either. Terry George getting the nod. I assume Delap would have started if they maybe want to send a message to him for a stupid red card before. It felt like they underestimated Karabakh. We need to give a shout out, though, to Karabakh, to Camilo Duran. Is a player. I don't know if it was the other Duran who maybe changed his name to Camilo and like re-enrolled.
No, but
he misses the Champions League.
They went to find him in Portugal. It's good.
They have 7 points. They're in a really, really strong position, and they've already played Chelsea and Benfica.
Yeah.
So looking good. But yeah, Maresca needs to bounce back.
Definitely.
Tottenham Hotspur beat up Copenhagen 4-0 as Mickey van de Ven goes coast to coast, Jules. All well for the man with 2 first names?
Well, better for sure before hosting United at the weekend in the Premier League. Copenhagen are a pretty bad team, really. And
if Almaty didn't exist, I would probably say Copenhagen are the worst team.
Yeah,
and Ajax.
And Ajax right now. You're right. For Copenhagen to be worse when they were playing with 11 men against 10, I think tells you a lot how bad they are. But well done to Spurs. You can only beat what's in front of you. Colomwani had a good game. Odobe had a good game. That goal from Mickey Messi van de Ven is just incredible, really incredible. I know he said afterwards that he used to be a striker, but he's not a striker now. He's obviously 20 feet tall and heavy, but still the quickest player in the Premier League and still capable of dribbling past 5 players, running 84 yards. I think it was the longest ever carry of the ball leading to a goal, basically.
Yeah, beating Vinicius Jr.'s record.
Yes, exactly.
Since 2015, I think. But yeah.
Incredible. Really, that's the Puskás award there, just for you. Phil Foden is back, Gab. He scores 2 as Manchester City overcome Borussia Dortmund 4-1.
So 2 goals, both from the edge of, similar in some ways in terms of where he received the goal, the ball, the execution very different. Yeah. One of them, the Dortmund defense sitting way back. We praise Kovacs for having them be more solid, but guys, you don't need to line up like on the 6-yard box. The second one, the execution was just so quick. It was fantastic. Look, if he goes back to being the player he was 2 years ago, that Foden Reinders in the middle, that's pretty special. And then give me two fast wingers like they have. And that Holland guy, who of course scored, but that's not really news. You're onto something. What I would caution against, they're 3-0 up. Doku falls asleep. Dortmund pull one back. Then they have another chance. Donnarumma has to make a save. Then Donnarumma has the other one where Donnarumma, he's got to go and win a tackle against the box, and then another tackle. So much for those who say, oh, look, he's too big, he's too slow. The last 20 minutes, I'm not saying they were going to lose the game because the fourth goal
but they lost a bit of control for sure.
They definitely lost control, and I don't think Pep's going to be happy with that part. Atletico Madrid rolled to a 3-1 win over Union Saint-Gilloise as Giuliano Simeone shines and the Spider Julian Alvarez scores. Jules, this was a lot closer than it should have been.
Union came back to 2-1 with Sykes, the giant defender who played for Stockport or Southport, I don't know.
Accrington Stanley, I think he started
as
out
well,
with.
In England, in all the lower leagues. Because they stayed in the game, they made it difficult, physical for Atletico, who I didn't think had much fluidity in that game at all and scored that 3rd goal really late. So it's a win, which is what you need after the 4-0 defeat at Arsenal in match day 3, but it's still not that convincing.
You're not going to name check the Atletico midfielder who made it 2-1? Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, you could say it.
I know you're his biggest fan.
Of course, yeah. Dusan Vlahovic scores, but Juve are held at home by Sporting 1-1. Ben pissed off for Spalletti in the Champions League.
Yeah, they were messed up. I mean, Vlahovic, I thought, actually looked good. And I think he's got a manager who, common sense. Oh, look, this guy is bigger, taller, faster, stronger, more gifted than everybody else on my team other than Kenan Yildiz. Of course, I want to go and build around him. Unlike the previous managers. Sporting scored a phenomenal team goal. Like, I know, like, when you watch highlights, sometimes you only get like the last 10 seconds and you're like, whatever. But if you can, watch the whole build-up. That was tremendous from Sporting. Juve missed chances. They seemed insecure to me. And it's something you have to work on. But hey, you have good Vlahovic. That's a starting point.
That's very important.
Controversy and a wonder goal at the Velodrome, Jules. Juric loses it with Lukman. De Zerbi waves his iPad. Ederson gets booked, of course. Ederson's handball is somehow not a penalty. And Lazar Samardzic scores a wonder goal. For me, better than Van de Ven.
Okay.
Van de Ven's just a big dude. He starts running. Once he starts running, there's inertia. You're 2-0 up. You're playing against the Muppet Show. There's a fair amount of luck involved. Samardzic, we've seen him do this before.
But that's the thing. You see those goals before. You haven't seen the Van de Ven goal before. So that's why I still prefer Van de Ven's goal. Great game at the Velodrome, not for Marseille, but I thought, to be fair, Atalanta were the better team anyway. And then De Zerbi, Juric takes Lukman off, weirdly, because he's their best player. Something he said between the two, they almost come to blows.
I think it might, because Lukman had scored the goal that was disallowed for some complicated offside, which I didn't really understand. I think it might have had something to do with that, but
I don't know.
Not a good look, by the way.
Not a good look at all. And then Ederson controls the ball in his box. The ball goes up. He's got his arm. He hits his arm. Doesn't change the trajectory of the ball. Not like a Marseille player. It would not have changed anything. But the play goes on. And where the Marseille players were at fault is that they stopped playing. We always say, whatever age you are playing football, play to the whistle always. It's very simple. They didn't. Samardzic goes and scored a wonderful goal. A curl in the top corner. Great. And De Zerbi was not happy. Thought it should have been a penalty. Showed on the iPad. Look, it's a penalty. The referee went to see VAR and didn't change his mind.
Was it a penalty, Jules? You skirted around that.
I don't know. I thought there was one earlier on O'Reilly that I thought was more of a penalty than that one. That's for sure.
Artfully done.
It's a hat-trick for your boy Victor Osimhen. Gabi, as Galatasaray beat up Ajax 3-0 in Amsterdam as well. We obviously all know what this means.
Yes. The best is yet to come. Mr. Victor Osimhen is the top goal scorer in the Champions League this season. Admittedly, 2 of them were penalties tonight. He's ahead of such no marks as Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, and Kylian Mbappe. And only 4 teams have more points than Galatasaray in the table. So what do I have to say? I have to say respect. Look, Ajax are terrible. What can I say?
Yeah.
But Osimhen's special. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami will face Nashville in the decisive 3rd game of their best-of-3 playoff first round this weekend. But Luis Suarez won't be there, Jules.
No, he got 1-match ban retrospectively after the second game, where you wrote on that nose donkey kick. I didn't know if that was the name, but basically Andy Naja is behind him, and for no reason, really no reason, Suarez kind of like put his legs out and kicks him from behind, basically. It's just the weirdest thing ever.
You say no reason, unlike the many reasons he had to go and bite Chiellini and Ivanovic and
spit on the guy from whatever.
In the League's Cup final.
The League Cup's final. I don't know. Because even Suarez is ahead of Naya on that. It just doesn't make any sense. I think Inter Miami have enough to win anyway, even without him. But it's just another.
They were 2-0 down until that Messi magic in the second leg. So I don't know. I think MLS will feel really, really stupid if the biggest attraction bows out this early.
Yeah, that's true. Gab, FIFA have introduced something called the FIFA Peace Prize.
Yes, and they will hand it out on December 5th, which is when the FIFA World Cup draw is. The award will be presented to individuals who, through their unwavering commitment and their special actions, have helped to unite people all over the world in peace and consequently deserve a special and unique recognition.
Okay.
Now, I say this with the greatest of love, Johnny. We've known each other for 20 odd years. Don't do this. Unless you want to pull a rabbit out of the hat.
It's like, for service to football, FIFA gives you a prize.
Right. But everybody assumes that this is going to go to his friend in the White House who ended the 8 wars, who, was disappointed didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. I understand you have to work with him. I understand you like him. That's fine. But you're a football organization.
Yeah.
You have 210 constituent members. You like him. He likes you. You work together. World Cup is on track, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Why do this when you know that there are a lot of people who will see this as you reaching new levels of sucking up? I don't think it makes him look good. Oh, I didn't win that prize. Maybe he'll win the prize. Maybe he'll win the Nobel Peace Prize, which is what this is supposed to be copied.
Really,
right? And also, you're a football organization. Do I want football people deciding on, when I need a dentist, do I go to the butcher? You should be giving out football prizes. I'm just trying to dissuade you. I'm sure you can find somebody who helped unite people all over the world who actually has some legitimate connection to football. And if you want to give the prize to them, by all means. But right now, the way it's looking, people, again, are making fun of him for being a bootlicker. Which
is a bit weird. It is a bit weird.
Which is just way over the top, I think, even for him. And as you know, I defend him
absolutely.
More than almost anybody.
So if you say it, you must be.
Newcastle keep rolling along nicely, Jules. It's a 2-0 against a heavily depleted, must be said.
Yeah.
Athletic Bilbao, no Sanchez, no Williams brothers, and so on.
Yeah, and Bilbao had some chances, to be fair. Nick Pope had to come up with 2 good saves. They were saved by the post as well. But it was still a controlled win, very good. I mean, one of the best headers you would see this season from Dan Burn on that Trippier free kick, Joel Linton.
Can I just make a point about the header? I return to you for the techers. Heading is something I know a little bit about. I'm watching it, and the commentator's like, oh, look at the swerve he puts on the header. And I'm like, he does not put swerve on the header. What he does is the ball from Trippier actually comes in quite flat and hard. And if you look, I know Dan Burn is a big, strong guy, but he's not hitting the ball hard enough to put swerve on it. He's simply redirecting it, and he almost glances it. It's extremely difficult to do, which actually makes me think that he doesn't, and he probably doesn't even need to do it. I don't even know that he was trying to do it. It was a tremendous header because I think it was difficult to make the connection accurately. So all credit to Dan Burn. But it's not like he's David Beckham or Juninho putting swerve on the header. Let's be a little realistic about this, yes?
It's the same goal that I scored, but on the other side in the
League Cup,
obviously, against Liverpool. Inter somehow have a tough time at home against Kara Almaty in a 2-1 win, Gab. It's a bit embarrassing, no?
It's very embarrassing, and you hope it doesn't go and bite them in the backside later on in the competition. Because goal difference, even though I don't believe in goal difference philosophically, sadly UEFA do. And it could make a difference. And the reality is, Inter are perfect. They've won every game, but they haven't played too many good sides. No. And they've got some, it's just like Ajax, Slavia Prague, this lot. And they have some really tough games coming up. So it would have helped. They created a ton of chances and it didn't go in. I heard a lot of ex-pros talking about this afterwards on Italian television. And they made the point that when you play against people who are so much worse than you are, it's really easy to get disjointed, to sink to their level. Is that a thing, Jewel? Do we buy that? Because
of that,
they move more slowly, they're out of position, they can't control the ball, and so you're like, oh, what's this? This is different.
Yeah, and I think you take it for granted a little bit. But the goal they conceded was unacceptable, man. Come on.
That, not good.
No.
But Marcus Thuram came off the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to help.
Good to see him back.
This is becoming a pattern with Bodo Glimt, Jules. They outplay the opposition for long stretches, and then they lose, this time to Monaco. 1-0, Flo Balogun.
Great goal,
The American goal in the first ever in the Champions League.
Great 1-2 with Akliouche. Amazing finish, really. But Bodo Glimt in atrocious conditions, the rain, the wind on the plastic pitch, obviously, hitting the post, having many chances. Philippe Cohen in goal for Monaco had to make some big saves. In the end, even at 10v11, because Bordeaux got a red card towards the end, they were still threatening. So Monaco will take that every day, especially after the defeat at the weekend. But for Bodo Glimt, a bit like the Spurs game when they only drew where they should have won, really, it's another bad result. Ricardo Pepi scores in injury time.
No, it's number 16.
Sorry, that was for you. That was for you, for me. Tough times for Jose Mourinho as Benfica lose at home to Bayer Leverkusen to remain on 0 points, Gab.
Yeah, so obviously he took over after the first one, and since then it's been 3 defeats. Patrick Schick getting the winner there. I feel for Mourinho a little bit. I thought Benfica were the better team, certainly in terms of chances created and everything. It does severely complicate matters because I think coming up this weekend even are elections. Manuel Rui Costa going out on a limb here. This could have an impact. And Benfica, by the way, they're third, I think, in
he's
in
unbeaten
Portugal.
in the league still, but in the Champions League he has been a disaster.
And I think he's played Porto, and
they drew with Porto. Yeah,
they drew with Porto. Ricardo Pepi scores in injury time to upset Olympiacos and especially Mr. Marinakis because it finishes 1-1. Jules, they get boshed, and I think Olympiacos deserve more.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, first of all, what a great goal by Jason Martins. Wonderful kind of like first touch with his knee and volley then.
Yeah, actually, can we make a case that maybe that's the best goal? Forget Van de Ven and the temper.
You never see goals like Van de Ven's. When like you see one Son against Burnley, a George Weah, Gareth Bale there and there, but like
somebody running the length of the pitch with a ball. I mean, I saw Diego Maradona do it against England in 1986 when I was a little boy.
But yeah, great goal. And you're right, they deserve better. There was nothing from PSV Eindhoven in this game. I think they had one shot on target until the goal in the 90th minute with an XG of 0.2. And yet Pepe with a massive luck because the keeper should save it, Kotsaris. And then it's a defender. The ball is played not for Pepe, but the ball then bounces off a defender in Pepe's path for him to volley. So well done to Peter Bosch and PSV Eindhoven. But we went from them humiliating Napoli scoring 6 goals to for 90 minutes doing nothing away Olympiacos until a miracle.
He's still Peter Bosch.
Yeah.
But we moved him ahead of Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah,
for now,
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, just checking.
And we would love Eric Ten Hag to get the Wolves job, obviously. Sticking with your friend or our friend, Mr. Marinakis, Gabi, he went on trial today in Greece for instigating violent and supporting a criminal group.
Yeah. So this is a quote from the charges. Okay, how can I say this? They're very serious charges. They also sound, out of context, they sound a lot worse.
Yes, than what it is.
Than what it is. So he's on, it's not just him on trial. It's not like Mr. Marinakis rampages through Athens with his criminal gang into instigating violence. What happens, of course, he's a board member at Olympiacos, 5 board members, and 142 fans are basically on trial. The genesis of this was a tragic incident in 2023, which cost the life of a police officer, riot police officer, in fighting. It's actually outside a women's volleyball match.
Oh, wow, okay.
It was Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. So obviously these are multi-sport setups like what we have in Spain with Barcelona and whatnot, where some flares went off. And I think the general thesis of the prosecution is that you have out-of-control fans. Some of these fans, they're fans by day, but then by night, they deal in drugs. They do other things. You know that these are bad elements, and still you associate with them. These are not all, but these are mostly Olympiacos ultras. And so you're somehow responsible for this as well. They've also been accused of intimidating referees and stuff like that. From where I sit, and I am certainly not a lawyer, these sound like charges that are very hard to prove. And supporting a criminal group is really a stretch, no matter how much you may dislike Marinakis. And I know we joke about him with the spitting and all this stuff, but it's come on. It's a tough one, and it's difficult. And Paris Saint-Germain, of course, club you know well, they had issues way
Massively.
back when you actually had two different ultras groups who hated each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's part of what brings the color, also brings problems. Pafos, who, as everybody knows, didn't exist until 12 years ago, they get their first ever win in the Champions League, and they beat none other than Marcelino and Villarreal, Jules.
Yeah, third in La Liga, which is an embarrassing defeat. I mean, I felt the Champions League this week was terrible look for La Liga overall. But that game, even more than anything else, really, because Villarreal had some chances, and on another day, they could have won, they should have won in Cyprus, but they didn't. Lucasen scored on a set piece, a corner so badly defended. And this was history for Pafos. David Luiz is Pafos, of course. Well done to them, because now they're on 5 points. They had 2 hard-earned draws before with 10 men, because they usually get a player sent off. Not in this game, but they still beat the third best team currently in La Liga.
Karabag on 7, Pafos on 5. All you rich big clubs from big leagues, hang your heads in shame.
More Marinakis as well. Crystal Palace have been charged for a banner mocking him when they played Nottingham Forest back in August.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, you as a football club are responsible for banners that your fans display. They had a banner. It was a cartoon Marinakis. You might have seen this, holding a gun to Morgan Gibbs-White's head. Remember Morgan Gibbs-White at the time? He was strongly linked with Tottenham, who reportedly had triggered his release clause, but then Forest, for some reason, wouldn't let him go. And what it said is, Mr. Marinakis is not involved in blackmail, is not, and I stress not, involved in blackmail, match fixing, drug trafficking, or corruption. So I think they thought they were being very clever there. The problem is when you put the not in front of somebody and you mention some terrible crime, I think there's a legal basis for it. We'll see what happened. If Palace approve this, I guarantee you this: they won't next time. If they get fined or there's action taken against them. Chelsea have appointed former Liverpool transfer guru Dave Fallows to their club's sporting leadership team. Jules, they basically have 5 sporting directors now. Can you read their names in alphabetical order?
Yes, I can. Gabby, so Dave Fallows, as you said, Sam Jewell, Joe Shields, Lawrence Stewart, and Paul Winstanley. I mean, you always need more sporting directors, Gab. Why not? I mean, and they're not on little money, I can tell you that as well. So,
and they all have contracts through 2031
yeah,
as well.
Exactly. This is baffling, I think.
It's absolutely remarkable, because everything that you've been told, the convention, I mean, like, this is just Chelsea doing things different. I could make the joke, well, look, they have 150 players under contract. Of course they need 5 sporting directors. I mean, I was at Watford yesterday, and I met with a guy who's the sporting director at 2 different clubs in 2 different countries. So you could argue that, he does 10 times the work these guys do, because I'm assuming Strasbourg have their own sporting director.
Yes, they just changed. Yeah, it's David Weir. Do you remember
that's right, David Weir, former, of course, a Brighton alum.
Of course.
Look, we can make fun of this and point out that in the corporate world, there's usually a hierarchical pyramidal structure where there's one guy at the top and different people are responsible for different things. They've gone for this almost
5.
5. It's a communist approach, if you will, right? 5 people, 5 heads are better than one. I don't know. Do they vote? Do they lock themselves in a room?
They've got slightly different roles, I think. Some are looking,
Not really, though, because 2 of them are sporting directors. The other 2 have some other nonsense. It's all, they're head of scouting and football development. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all the same, but they've got different titles.
And historically, they've all been sporting director recruitment types. So that's what they bring to the table. But let's mock it. But you know what? If it works, everybody will be copying for it. And there'll be so many more sporting director jobs available.
Gab, an awful story involving Destiny Udogie, who was threatened at gunpoint by a football agent in North London.
That's right. Owing to the laws that they have in this country and the fact that I'm speaking to you from London, I can't tell you who the guy was, even though I know his name. I think a lot of people, you just go on the internet, you can easily find the name of the guy who threatened him, who works for a major sporting agency.
Big company. Yeah.
Maybe I should speak in the past tense, because I don't see how he's going to stick around there at all. I hasten to add, he is not Destiny Udogie's agent in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But he was approached. He was threatened. His friend was threatened that at some point you pulled a gun. And again, some of you listening to us might live in places where guns are commonplace, where maybe they're open carry situations, or everybody or a lot of people have guns. We live in the UK, where guns are extremely rare. It's almost impossible to get a permit to carry a gun around with you. So when you pull out a firearm, they take this very seriously, and it's hard for you to go to prison. Anyway, the guy's out on bail right now. Udogie seems to be fine.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was him. For some reason, he wasn't actually publicly named until the day before yesterday, when then Spurs put out a statement. But look, he played. He got to enjoy Van de Ven's goal.
We should see him going like this, because
exactly.
can't actually believe it.
I'm glad he's well. We don't need this. Agents with guns threatening people.
Yeah.
A tragic tale from Serbia, where Bosnian coach Mladen Zizovic collapsed and died during a match.
Yeah, he was 44. Gabi, he was the Radniki manager, and they played Mladost. And he collapsed after 22nd minute, went to hospital, but they could not save him. And yeah, it's a terrible, terrible story. A heart attack. It's on the touchline.
It's horrendous, and even just the reactions of the players on the pitch. It's like, honestly, don't look at the pictures. You don't need to.
Fiorentina are in trouble, Gab. We knew that, but now they've sacked Stefano Pioli. Their sporting director, Daniele Prade, has resigned as well, and the fans are on the warpath.
Yes. There's even some reports that suggest Daniele Prade is in hiding at this point. Daniele Galoppa was the first player in Italy to wear rainbow laces. Fun fact, back when it wasn't a thing. He's the interim coach. I think the owner, Rocco Commisso, dealing with some personal stuff right now, so there's kind of a void there. Roberto D'Aversa, not a guy I'm a big fan of for style of football, seems to be in the driver's seat. Fiorentina fans are some of the most demanding fans in the world, alongside, I think, with Valencia fans. Certainly the team deserves better, but they also should have many more points at the table. Desiree Doué has won the Golden Boy. Woo! Jules, I know, and anybody who listened to the show a couple of weeks ago knows, but please remind us, well, we know this was the best young player playing in the top division in Europe, blah, blah, blah. But surely that would be Lamine Yamal. Listeners will know why it's not Lamine Yamal.
They would know that if you've won it already, you can't win it again. So you could not vote for Lamine Yamal. I'm part of the jury, so I voted.
But not for Lamine Yamal.
Again, but not for Lamine Yamal, obviously. My top five was Doué, Yildiz, Gula, Mastantuono, and Huijsen. So I'm glad my boy Desiree Doué won.
As you know, I like that. Win it. I think they should. Maybe not the Ballon d'Or, because Ballon d'Or is established.
Yes.
But any of these other ones, FIFA the best. Make your prize different from the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Say, like, you could only win it once, or something like that.
Daniele De Rossi is back, Gab. He's taking over Genoa after the departure of Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, from one midfield icon to another midfield icon. Although Daniele De Rossi in some ways kind of like the photo negative of Patrick Vieira in terms of in terms of personality and approach. I'm a big fan of De Rossi. I think Genoa have a decent setup. I don't quite know what in the end happened with Patrick Vieira, other than obviously the position on the table.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that he's back and eager to see what he did. He didn't do great at Spal, obviously, but let's see what he can bring. Wrexham winger James McLean explained why he punched a Cardiff fan in the face after being confronted in a car park. Jules, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, no, he said that words were said. This tall guy with glasses made a hostile move towards him, he explained. So he felt threatened in his workplace. And he said, like, he wasn't waiting for him to make the first swing, so he went first.
Strike first, strike hard, show no mercy.
4 against 1. He said, I was on my own, so I went for it.
We should also maybe remind people why McLean is a controversial figure among some people.
Yeah, it's not the first time. Exactly.
He doesn't... McLean is from Northern Ireland. This time of year in England, a lot of people wear poppies in remembrance to celebrate veterans of the British Army. McLean, by choice, does not. probably because he's a Catholic guy from Northern Ireland and knows a lot of people on the other side and the troubles and all this jazz.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if we know for sure, but I'm pretty sure these 4 guys didn't approach James McLean just to taunt him. I'm pretty sure it probably had to do with McLean's politics on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, or the rivalry between Wrexham and Cardiff when they played each other in the League Cup, and Cardiff won, maybe as the 2 Welsh clubs. I don't know.
I mean, sorry, if you're Cardiff, shouldn't you be picking on somebody your own size like Swan? I mean, you're Welsh adjacent here.
Yeah.
Your rivals are Swansea. You should treat Wrexham like Drek, right? That's what a big club does, yeah?
But Wrexham plays in a better division than you, though.
That's true. So, that is true.
So do Swansea.
And Wrexham has more handsome owners, I would assume.
Yeah,
or one more handsome owner.
For sure, yeah. Gab, remember how the money from the forced sale of Chelsea was supposed to go to the victims of the war in Ukraine, but instead it's still sitting, collecting interest in Roman Abramovich's bank account. Not only is it still there, Gab, but it looks like if anything ever does get paid out, it will be less than half of what we thought.
So, yeah. So,
you follow the story closely.
Well, it's my old colleague, Martin Ziegler from The Times. Every 3-4 months, updates us on the story. Now, it's taken an extraordinary twist. So for a long time, the idea was, all right, Roman Abramovich, so Russia invades Ukraine. Roman Abramovich is forced to sell Chelsea, right? Yeah. We know this, even though he doesn't actually get officially sanctioned in court, but he works out a deal where he sells Chelsea. They go through the whole process. Rain, Todd Bowley, Bedat Iqbali, and their investors buy the club. In the end, the number, I think, £2.35 billion. And they say, okay, as part of it, everybody reports, and the British government reports, oh, look, we've worked out a deal. That money will go to this charity in Ukraine. Then the money goes, and it just sits there in the account. And different stories come out. One says, well, but when Abramovich says victims of the war in Ukraine, he means victims on both sides, Russia and blah, 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 and Ukraine. That doesn't sit well with the government. Seems absurd. This money's just sitting there. It's not being used for what it should be used for, just humanitarian reasons. Now, according to the accounts of the holding company, the agreement seems to be that, no, it's not $2.35 billion, which is what Abramovich got for the club. It's Abramovich's profit. So in other words, you take what Abramovich paid for the club, you take what Abramovich put into the club over the years, which is about £1.54 billion, because obviously he made a lot of loans to Chelsea over the years. And then you take the net amount, which is £923 million, which is,
right.
It's more than $1 billion. It'll help, but it's not what we were told it was originally. And why they couldn't have done this transparently and in a way that everybody understands, why there's still bound to be litigation and lawyers making money like ghouls off of this. I just find this whole thing sickening. Football Association will have to pay more than £1 million in legal costs after losing their case against Lucas Paqueta. Jules, this is also really embarrassing.
It is embarrassing for them. This took so long. And I mean, if you look at Paqueta, you feel really aggrieved by it. And I think he also deserved compensation or something, because he would have gone to Manchester City. There was probably other moves that could have happened, didn't happen because of that investigation on that match fixing incident on Paqueta Island, all of that. And now for the FA to have to pay $1 million to your friends' lawyers, it's just the cherry on the cake, really, for what was such a bad thing. Gab, who is Tony Scholes? Anything to do with Paul Scholes? And why are we talking about him?
Tony Scholes is Paul Scholes' alter. No, just kidding. So Tony Scholes is a guy who worked for the Premier League. He's their chief football officer.
Okay.
I have never actually met the guy, but people I really know and respect say that he's actually really, really brilliant.
Okay.
But the interesting thing for me is he's been recruited to head the USL, the United Soccer League in the US, who obviously right now they operate, I think, 3 leagues. They're classed as Division 2, so they're usually in smaller cities and whatnot. But they're going all in. They're going to become a Division 1 league. They have promotion and relegation, and they're going to compete with MLS. Now, if you're going to set this up, you need some really smart people to make sure you can do it in a way that's financially sustainable, in a way that you really are competing with MLS. And by all accounts, Scholes is that man. So I think he's going to be a really important and powerful figure in U.S. soccer in the coming years.